Welcome to RCFE Deal Room. I'm Corpus. If you're buying, selling, or investing in residential care facilities for the elderly in California, this channel is designed to help you make smarter decisions and avoid costly mistakes. In our last episode, we talked about why many RCFE owners wait too long to sell. Today, I want to talk about what happens after a seller decides to move forward. Due diligence. This is one of the most important stages of any RCFE transaction. It's where buyers begin asking questions, reviewing documents, verifying information, and making sure the business they're buying is the business they think they're buying. One thing I've learned after years in real estate, lending, and senior transitions is this. Good due diligence doesn't kill good deals, it builds confidence. Poor preparation, on the other hand, creates uncertainty, and uncertainty often leads to delays, renegotiations, or deals falling apart. Today, I'd like to walk through some of the most common questions buyers ask during due diligence, and more importantly, how RCFE owners can prepare long before they ever decided to sell. Let's get started. Number one, show me your financial story. One of the first things buyers want to understand is the financial performance of the business. They're not just asking, is the business profitable? They're asking, has the revenue changed over time? What does occupancy look like? How stable are expenses? How dependent is profitability on the current owner? They're trying to understand whether the business will continue performing after their ownership changes. I once looked at an RCFE where the owner proudly told me the business was doing very well. But when buyers began asking for supporting financial documentation, it took 2 weeks to gather everything. Nothing was necessarily wrong with the business. The issue was organization. That delay created uncertainty that could have been avoided simply by preparing the records ahead of time. One lesson I've learned is this: good records create buyer confidence. Number two, help me understand occupancy. Occupancy tells a buyer's story. How many licensed beds? How many residents today? Has occupancy been stable? If there have been vacancies, why? A vacancy doesn't automatically concern experienced buyers. What matters is the explanation. I've seen situations where occupancy temporarily declined because an owner intentionally paused admissions while making improvements to the property. Once buyers understood the reason, the concern largely disappeared. Context matters. Number three, tell me about your staff. Experienced buyers know they're not just buying a building, they're buying people. They'll often ask, how long have caregivers been here? Who's the administrator? What's employee turnover been like? How involved is the owner? Could the business continue operating if the owner stepped away? For example, I evaluated a facility where the staff had been together for many years. That became one of the strongest selling points. In another situation, nearly every important decision still flowed through the owner. That raised questions about how easily the business could transition to new ownership. A strong team often adds tremendous value. Number four, walk me through licensing and compliance. Buyers want to know whether there have been licensing issues, recent inspections, deficiencies, corrective actions, policies, procedures. No business is perfect, but buyers appreciate transparency. I've seen owners immediately provide organized licensing records, inspection reports, and corrective actions. Those transactions moved much more smoothly because buyers didn't have to wonder what was missing. Preparation reduces anxiety. Number five, where do your residents come from? Referral relationships matter. Buyers often ask, where do most new residents come from? Hospitals, placement agencies, word of mouth, home health companies, case managers. A diversified referral network generally creates more confidence than relying on a single source. One owner I talked to had spent years building relationships with local hospitals, hospice providers, and senior living advisors. Those relationships became part of what the buyer was purchasing. The value wasn't just inside the building, it extended into the community. Number six, show me how the business operates. Sophisticated buyers aren't only evaluating today's performance, they're evaluating tomorrow's operations. They'll often ask, do you have written procedures, employee manuals, training systems, vendor relationships, emergency plans? The easier the business appears to operate without the owner, the more transferable it becomes. One owner had documented nearly every major process: emissions, care plans, vendor contracts, staff procedures. That level of organization immediately gave buyers confidence that they could step into the business without starting from scratch. Number 7, what repairs or improvements should I expect? Every property needs maintenance. Buyers understand that. What they want to know is whether there are any surprises after closing. Roof, HVAC, accessibility, fire safety, landscaping, equipment. Deferred maintenance doesn't automatically end a transaction. Unexpected deferred maintenance often creates a renegotiation. For example, I once walked through a facility where the owner openly pointed out several maintenance items before the inspection even began. Instead of hurting credibility, it actually increased it. Transparency builds trust. Many sellers think due diligence is about paperwork. It isn't. The paperwork supports something much bigger: confidence. Every question buyers ask is really trying to answer one question: can I confidently take over the business? The more confidence you create, the smoother the transaction usually becomes. And here's today's deal room tip. Pretend a buyer is coming to review your business next week. Could you produce financial statements, occupancy history, licensing records, employee information, vendor agreements, policies and procedures, inspection reports? If gathering those documents would take several weeks, today is the perfect day to begin organizing them. Now, if I could leave every RCFE owner with one piece of advice, it would be this: don't prepare your due diligence package after accepting an offer. Prepare it long before you ever list your business. The owners who generally experience the smoothest transactions aren't necessarily the ones with perfect businesses. They're the ones who are organized, prepared, transparent, and responsive. Buyers don't expect perfection, they expect professionalism. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from today's episode, it's this: due diligence isn't something buyers do to sellers, it's something buyers do for themselves. They're trying to reduce uncertainty before making one of the biggest investments of their lives. The more prepared you are, the easier it becomes for buyers to move forward with confidence. If you're an RCFE owner in California and you'd like to better understand how buyers evaluate businesses during due diligence, I'd be happy to have a confidential conversation. Whether you're planning to sell next year, 5 years from now, or you're simply curious about how prepared your business is today, I'd be happy to help you better understand the process. Even if you never work with me, I hope these videos help you make better decisions. That's why I created RCFE Deal Room. If you'd like additional educational resources for RCFE buyers, sellers, and investors, visit simplifyseniortransitions.com/RCFE. There you'll find educational videos, tools, and my free RCFE buyers due diligence checklist. If you found today's episode helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, and I'd love to hear from you. If you are buying an RCFE tomorrow, what's the very first document or question you'd want answered during due diligence? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read every comment, and many future episodes are inspired by your questions. Next time, we'll shift back to the seller side to discuss how to confidently sell your RCFE without disrupting your business. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Corpus, and I'll see you next time here on RCFE Deal Room.